You know that moment when you're just standing in the break room waiting for the microwave?
Oh, yeah, or like you're just in line at the coffee shop.
Right. You're having this completely standard, mundane conversation with an acquaintance. You're talking about the weather or, I don't know, complaining about the local
It's
traffic.
the usual surface level stuff.
Exactly. And then out of nowhere, the conversation just, well, it cracks wide open.
You find yourself completely abandoning the small talk.
Yeah, it takes this sudden, really sharp left turn into something incredibly profound. Suddenly, you aren't talking about the rain anymore. You're deep into a philosophical debate.
Or uncovering a shared, intense passion for something incredibly specific.
It's jarring, honestly, but in the best way possible. It leaves you walking away thinking, wait, where did that even come from?
Because it feels so out of place for the setting.
Right. We're talking about a phenomenon where your brain, which is filtering roughly 11 million bits of subconscious data at any given moment, suddenly locks onto a hidden wavelength with another person.
It's a massive processing shift.
So today, our mission for this deep dive is to figure out the mechanics of that exact moment. Are these startling conversational pivots orchestrated by some sort of, cosmic higher order?
Or is your brain just quietly, biologically unlocking information you've been hoarding in the background?
Yeah, exactly. And we've got a really fascinating blend of sources today. We are pulling from cognitive science, sociology, and even ancient Eastern philosophy to get to the bottom of this. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, it is nearly universal experience, yet we rarely pause to actually analyze the underlying mechanics of it. What we are really exploring today is a fascinating tension.
The tension between the science and the spiritual side.
Precisely. We are bridging the gap between cognitive pattern recognition, the strict biological filtering happening in your brainstem, and the profound feeling of spiritual synchronicity.
Because in that specific moment, when a casual chat turns into a deep dive, it genuinely feels like magic.
It really does.
Let me ground this with the anchor story from our research today. So imagine you're chatting with someone you know, but you don't really know them.
Like a neighbor or maybe a coworker from a different department.
Right, yeah. You are exchanging pleasantries, just the expected social banter, and then somehow the topic of investing comes up.
Which is usually just a passing comment about the market.
Right. But it doesn't stay at a surface level observation about the stock market being crazy. Suddenly, the two of you are diving into the complex mechanics of compounding interest.
Behavioral economics, market psychology.
Exactly. You're getting into the fundamental philosophies of wealth building, and neither of you expected the other to have such immense depth on the subject.
That kind of pivot completely disrupts your internal mental model of who that person is.
It really does. I was reading this and I immediately visualized it like a video game.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, it's like you've been treating this person as an NTC, a non-playable character, a background character who is just programmed to say, nice day out, when you walk past them.
Right, they just have one line of dialogue.
Exactly. But then you accidentally hit the right dialogue option, and a hidden door in this totally familiar room just blows wide open, revealing a completely unknown, massive landscape of thought.
That visual of the hidden door perfectly captures the friction of the moment. And the reason it feels so incredibly jarring to uncover that landscape is because of a psychological survival mechanism we all utilize.
Which is what, exactly?
It's the illusion of the known. To survive the immense complexity and cognitive load of our social lives, we constantly categorize the people around us into strict, functional boxes.
So we just put labels on everyone.
Exactly. The human brain is essentially an energy conservation machine. If we had to process the full, complex humanity of every single person we interacted with, we'd be in trouble.
Like every barista, every coworker, every delivery driver.
Yes, our brains would essentially short-circuit from the processing demands. So we use heuristics. We label them. There is the gym buddy, the guy I talk to about football, the work friend.
We put them in a neat little compartment so we don't have to, spend mental calories figuring them out every single time we see them.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And when that break room conversation suddenly pivots into the profound, it shatters that illusion. The brain is forced to spend those calories to re-render the person in front of you.
It forces us to confront the reality that everyone, even the most casual acquaintance, contains hidden depths and multitudes.
Depths that we simply don't have the biological bandwidth to constantly acknowledge.
That makes so much sense. So the real question is, how does a hidden door like that suddenly swing open? I mean, is it the soul reaching out to find a connection, or is it just our internal wiring finally sparking and catching a signal?
Well, to answer that, we have to look deeper at that staggering biological reality you mentioned earlier.
The data processing numbers.
Yes. At any given moment, the human brain processes roughly 11 million bits of information per second subconsciously.
That's just wild.
It includes everything, the hum of the air conditioner, the temperature of the room, the micro-expressions on someone's face. But consciously, you are only processing about 40 to 50 bits per second.
That is an insane bottleneck. It's like your conscious mind is this highly exclusive VIP club, and the subconscious is a very, very strict bouncer guarding the door.
That's a great analogy. The bouncer has to be strict, otherwise the club gets overrun and you experience complete sensory overload.
But if the bouncer is that strict, how does a highly specific topic, like our investing example, suddenly bypass the velvet rope and get into conscious awareness?
Right. Why let that through?
Yeah, why does the bouncer let that through during a completely unrelated chat about the weather?
We can view this through two parallel frameworks, actually. One from modern science and one from ancient spirituality.
Okay, let's start with the science.
Scientifically, the bouncer in your brain is called the Reticular Activating System, or the RAS. This is a bundle of nerves at our brainstem that filters out unnecessary information so the important stuff gets through.
So it decides what makes the VIP list.
Exactly. And your RAS is programmed to what you focus on. It's the classic cocktail party effect.
Oh, where you can be in a loud, crowded room, but if someone murmurs your name 10 feet away, you hear it.
Yes. Your RAS instantly amplifies that specific frequency and flags it for your conscious mind.
Or like when you buy a new red car, and suddenly you start seeing that exact model of red car everywhere on the highway.
They were always there, but your bouncer just started letting them into the VIP club.
Because your RAS is now prioritizing that red car as vital information. That makes total sense. Okay, what about the spiritual framework?
Right, so if we pair that neurological mechanism with Eastern philosophy, we find the concept of samskaras. In the Vedic tradition, samskaras are described as deep grooves in our consciousness.
Deep grooves, like psychological imprints.
Exactly. They are psychological imprints, habits, or mental patterns that our mind quietly fixates on. You can think of them as the subconscious obsessions or lingering questions your soul is holding on to in the background.
Oh, wow. So if you have a deep groove, the samskara, around the philosophy of investing or wealth, that psychological imprint is essentially like handing a VIP list to your reticular activating system.
Yes, your brain is primed.
You were already holding the lock. And during that mundane chat about the weather, your bouncer finally caught the subtle conversational keys the other person was dropping.
A specific vocabulary word, a tone of voice, a passing reference.
The cues were always present in the 11 million bits of environmental data, but your conscious mind finally pulled them into those 40 to 50 bits of awareness.
Because your samskaras told your RAS to look out for them.
Okay, that perfectly explains how our internal filters align and let the topic in. But I really want to understand what actually happens in the room, between the two people, when those minds suddenly click into place.
Because it feels so visceral.
Yeah, it feels like a physical shift in the air.
What's fascinating here is that the click you feel isn't just a metaphor. It is a literal biological alignment.
Wait, literal?
Yes. When two people engage in one of these unexpectedly deep, highly engaged conversations, their brain waves actually begin to sync up. This is a biological phenomenon called neural entrainment.
Wait, how does that actually work mechanically? I mean, are our brains sending out Bluetooth signals to each other?
Not quite Bluetooth, but it relies on a complex feedback loop of sensory mirroring.
Okay.
When you are deeply engaged, your mirror neurons are firing. You subconsciously begin to match the other person's speech cadence, their posture, and even their micro-expressions.
So you're literally mirroring their physical state.
Yes, and as you mirror their physical and vocal rhythms, your respiratory rates can actually align.
You start breathing at the same time. That's wild.
It is. And because brain waves are heavily influenced by these physiological rhythms, the electrical activity in your brains literally begins to synchronize.
So you temporarily become a single coupled processing unit.
It's exactly neural entrainment.
That totally explains why you walk away from those interactions feeling incredibly energized, like almost buzzing. But what's wild to me is who we usually have these moments with.
You'd assume it would be your closest friends.
Right. You'd think it would be our best friends. But I was looking at the sociological research we pulled from Mark Granovetter, who coined the concept of the strength of weak ties back in 1973.
It remains a foundational piece of network theory. Granovetter was originally studying how people find out about new jobs, and the results were highly counterintuitive.
They really were. He proved that acquaintances, our weak ties, are significantly more likely to introduce us to novel information and fresh perspectives than our close friends.
Which goes against our standard assumptions.
But if you think about the mechanics of it, your close friends, your strong ties, they're essentially an echo chamber. You share the exact same knowledge pool.
You read the same news, you hang out with the same people.
Yeah, you have the same samskaras. So there is very little new data being introduced into a strong tie network.
But the acquaintance, the barista or the coworker from accounting.
They represent a bridge to a completely foreign network. They live in a different solar system of information.
Exactly.
So when you finally break past the weather talk, they're introducing a completely alien element into your conscious ecosystem, which is why the depth feels so revolutionary.
You're tapping into a reservoir of knowledge that your immediate circle simply doesn't possess.
And this idea that profound, life-altering wisdom comes from weak ties wrapped in mundane packages, this isn't just 20th century sociology.
Not at all.
I was looking at the historical texts we pulled, and one of the oldest and most revered scriptures in human history is entirely built on this exact premise, the Bhagavad Gita.
If we want to understand the archetypal blueprint of an unplanned, paradigm-shifting conversation, the 700-verse Gita is the ultimate example.
The setting of this conversation is what blew my mind. It doesn't take place in a peaceful ashram or a temple or like a quiet classroom.
Far from it.
It happens on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, just moments before a massive, catastrophic war is about to begin. The warrior, Arjuna, is sitting in his chariot, completely overwhelmed by the moral weight of what he is about to do.
He essentially has a breakdown.
Right, he drops his bow, he turns and asks a deeply vulnerable question to his charioteer, a man named Krishna.
And Arjuna anticipates a tactical response. He expects his driver to give him advice on warfare or duty in a strictly material sense.
He thinks he knows exactly who he is talking to, a driver, a servant. But that tactical talk rapidly shifts into a massive cosmic revelation about duty, action, and the internal nature of the soul.
And the crucial detail here is Krishna's disguise.
Yes, because in the broader epic of the Mahabharata, Krishna is the supreme deity. But right now, he isn't recognized as divine. He's disguised as a lowly driver steering the horses.
He is the ultimate NPC in the background of a chaotic scene.
Which perfectly illustrates the core philosophical takeaway of the text. Profound wisdom is almost always disguised in the mundane packages of everyday people.
The divine, or the universal truth, reveals itself in the middle of ordinary, chaotic duties.
Your personal charioteer, the person who offers you a perspective that alters the trajectory of your life, might just be that casual acquaintance you've been complaining to about the traffic.
They might hold incredible insights into the universe, or relationships, or the exact investment philosophy you needed to hear.
Wait, as beautiful as that is, isn't there a danger of just over-romanticizing coincidence? I mean, I have to push back on this a little bit.
Please do.
If the human brain is just an incredibly powerful pattern recognition machine with a reticular activating system, aren't we just retroactively assigning narrative meaning to a statistical inevitability?
The confirmation bias argument.
Right. It's like rolling a 1,000-sided die. If I talk to enough people and I roll that die enough times, eventually it's going to land on the exact number I'm looking for.
You'll hit the jackpot eventually.
Yeah. Eventually, I will stumble onto someone who shares my highly specific niche interest. It's not magic, and it's not a cosmic charioteer. It's just probability and math, and our brains just love to turn math into destiny.
That is a vital counter-argument, and we absolutely have to validate that pushback. There is a very real danger in over-spiritualizing every single interaction.
Because it can get a bit out of hand, right?
Exactly. If you assign cosmic destiny to every casual chat, it can quickly devolve into magical thinking. The shadow side of looking for profound synchronicity everywhere is that we risk losing our own agency.
Oh, because we're just waiting for signs.
Right. If we believe every conversation is a divine directive, we stop making our own rational choices. Sometimes a chat about a stock portfolio is just a chat about a stock portfolio.
And there's another tension here that completely shifts the blame back onto us, the unasked questions paradigm.
Yes, this is a fascinating angle.
We assume these breakthrough moments are serendipitous, right? Like, wow, what great cosmic timing that this person brought up compounding interest. But maybe it has nothing to do with timing.
You're saying the depth is already there.
Maybe those profound depths were always there in the other person, every single day, and we just entirely failed to ask the right questions previously.
The barrier isn't the universe withholding a connection. The barrier is our own conversational habits.
Exactly. The magic isn't destiny. The magic is just us finally breaking our own boring, predictable social scripts. We are the ones keeping the hidden door closed because we are terrified of the social awkwardness of asking anything deeper than, how was your weekend?
That is a deeply humbling perspective.
But here's where it gets really interesting. If it's highly possible that we are just stumbling through a crowded world, rolling thousand-sided dice, and occasionally breaking our own boring habits, how do we reconcile that with the deeper frameworks of Carl Jung and the Vedantic worldview?
Because they certainly don't see it as just statistical coincidence.
Right, they don't. So how does Jung frame it?
Carl Jung, working alongside the quantum physicist Wolfgang Pauli, coined the concept of synchronicity. He defined this as a causal connecting principle.
A causal meaning no direct cause and effect.
Exactly, meaning two events happen that have absolutely no direct cause and effect relationship, yet they carry a profound, undeniable sense of meaning. Jung believed these weren't just math, they were moments where archetypes from the collective unconscious briefly broke through to the surface of our lives.
And that idea maps perfectly onto the Vedantic concept of Brahman.
It does. In the Vedantic tradition, Brahman is the ultimate unchanging reality. It conceptualizes the universe not as a collection of isolated, bouncing atoms, but as a single, vibrating web of consciousness.
Like Indra's net, right?
Yes, like Indra's net, where every jewel at every intersection of the web reflects every other jewel. In this worldview, consciousness isn't a byproduct of the brain, it is fundamental to the universe.
So there are no truly random interactions.
Precisely. An unexpected deep connection is simply a moment where the invisible threads linking two people in that web become briefly illuminated.
That's incredible. Whether you lean toward the strict biology of two reticular activating systems colliding, or Jung's collective unconscious, or the vibrating web of Brahman, the resulting connection is equally profound.
Neural entrainment happens either way.
Yeah, the mechanism doesn't diminish the meaning, it just gives us different lenses to view the magic.
The impact on your life remains the exact same.
So what does this all mean for us? Understanding the mechanics, the RAS, the mirror neurons, and understanding the mysticism, the Gita, synchronicity, that's all great for a philosophical debate, but how do you actually apply this to your daily life?
How do we engineer it?
Yeah, how do we engineer these hidden doors to open more often, rather than just waiting for statistical luck?
The literature offers some highly actionable takeaways. First, you have to actively shift your baseline assumption about the people around you. You have to look for the Samskaras in others.
Treat them like they're holding a secret library of knowledge.
Exactly. Treat every single acquaintance as if they are holding that secret library. You have to probe gently beyond those usual social scripts.
So if the barista mentions a book they are reading, or a coworker makes an offhand comment about an economic theory, you pull that thread.
Don't just nod to keep the line moving.
You have to fundamentally assume the NPC has a massive backstory, and you have to be willing to spend the cognitive calories to uncover it.
Precisely. Second, you need to trust your own brain's holding pattern. If you find a specific topic, a philosophy, a historical event, a financial curiosity lingering in the back of your mind, trust it.
Because your brain has formed a samskara for a reason.
Yes, and it has programmed your RAS to catch those cues in your environment. When a subtle opportunity arises in a mundane conversation, be brave enough to bring it up, even if it feels a little out of left field for small talk.
And the final piece of the puzzle here is a concept you brought up from the Eastern texts, which is karma yoga.
Yes. Karma yoga is the spiritual discipline of selfless action, or action without attachment to the fruits of the action.
How does that apply to just chatting with someone?
Well, in the context of a conversation, this is a crucial mechanical step. Practicing karma yoga means engaging with people without any attachment to the outcome. You aren't networking to gain an investor. You aren't talking to them just to extract information for your own benefit.
Because if you go into a conversation with a strict networking goal, your RAS creates a laser-focused, narrow beam, right? Your bouncer blocks out everything that doesn't serve your immediate pitch.
Exactly. By abandoning the goal, by practicing karma yoga, you widen the filter, you turn off the strict bouncer, you converse simply to connect, allowing the interaction to breathe and flow organically.
That makes a lot of sense.
The most valuable, life-altering insights usually emerge when we stop trying to steer the ship
Yeah.
and just let the actual depth of the other person surface on its own terms.
Because if Arjuna had just demanded tactical, step-by-step battlefield advice from his charioteer and refused to let the conversation breathe into the unknown, he would have completely missed the greatest cosmic revelation of his life.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the open questions you have to ask yourself are profound.
What should we be asking?
Are you actively drawing these deep conversations to yourself because of the samskaras you secretly hold on to, programming your brain to find them? Or are you just stumbling through a crowded world, keeping your head down, and occasionally getting lucky?
Wow.
And, more pressingly, how much profound wisdom are you missing out on every single day simply because you refuse to pivot past surface-level small talk with the people you see all the time?
It really makes you rethink what could happen during tomorrow's morning coffee run. To that end, I want to challenge you, the listener, with 2 quick reflection exercises.
These are great to test out tomorrow.
First, think of a surface-level acquaintance you interact with regularly. The guy at the gym, a coworker in a different department, maybe the crossing guard. What is one open-ended question you can ask them tomorrow to break your usual script? Just one question to test for a hidden door.
And second, what is a topic that your brain has been quietly holding on to recently? What is your current samskara? And how can you purposefully but gently bring it up in your next casual conversation to see if someone's RAS catches the signal?
I love those exercises. And I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We've spent this entire deep dive trying to figure out how to uncover the hidden depths of others. We've talked about finding the charioteer in the mundane people around you.
Right?
But what if you are the disguised charioteer for someone else? What profound wisdom or unique perspective are you holding back behind polite small talk, just waiting for someone else to pull the thread?
You might be the hidden door they are desperately looking for to change their own life.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep asking the unasked questions.